attachment, but a larger issue that needed to be in the public's view. And so for 13 hours, Senator Paul, with the help of Ted Cruz, with the help of Mike Lee, with the help even at times of Marco Rubio, who I heard got wind that it was happening and hurried back from where he was so he could be a part of it. That's good for him. Came and joined in this, and it was a 13-hour-long filibuster. How many of you watched at least part of it as it was happening live? It's good people. C-SPAN is not usually the sexiest television, but I think it was C-SPAN 2, in fact, too, right? So, but this was worth watching. It was definitely worth seeing. But the end result of what happened through this was very, very significant. And some of you may not know this. In 2012, during the height of the presidential election, during the contest, the Washington Post did a poll. And at that time, 65% of Americans said they were for drone strikes on U.S. citizens who were overseas, who were suspected of terrorism. Only 26% were against. Now, it's important to remember something, that when Senator Paul got up to do his filibuster, he was somewhat careful in the language he used. He did not challenge the idea of using drone strikes to kill U.S. citizens who were overseas. He did not talk about that. In fact, he specifically said that he was not talking about that issue, but instead wanted clarity to the issue of whether or not U.S. citizens on U.S. soil accused of terrorism could be killed with a drone strike. And if you watched it, you heard over and over the example he kept giving. Someone sitting in a coffee shop in Seattle. Can a drone strike be used to take out that person who is a suspected terrorist? 1 month after that 13-hour filibuster, these were the numbers. 41% of Americans were still for the idea of drone strikes on U.S. citizens, not here in the U.S., overseas. 52% were against. That is a powerful 13 hours on C-SPAN 2. It's not like this guy was on Fox Prime. He's out there someplace, but made enough of a difference because what he did was he just gave people honest information. For 13 hours, I'm going to repeat myself probably 30,000 times and give the same examples over and over, because at some point, I want it to click for you. I want you to think differently about what you've been told, because over and over you keep hearing how we must do this in order to be safe. But as he continues to lay out the case for you, is it really making us safer? Is it making us safer to use a drone to kill an American citizen without due process rights here at home? And it convinced a 50-point swing, where people didn't say yes, Seattle, or in Iowa, or in Iowa City. What did they say? They said, overseas. Shouldn't be doing it. It's a powerful, powerful time. Winston Churchill said this once. He said, men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing ever happened. We think people want to do that, and that's one of the things we want to prevent from happening. The only chance for the liberty movement to really succeed is for us to be intellectually honest and ideologically consistent. And if you're taking any kind of notes tonight, if you're writing anything down, if you're going to, take a picture and put it on the wall and draw a little heart around it, or whatever you're going to do today. I'm just kidding, guys. I want you to write that down. That's the one thing I want you to take away tonight, if you're going to take something with you. That if the liberty movement is to succeed, it's for us to be intellectually honest and ideologically consistent. That's what rule of law is about. Listen, that is what the liberty movement has over the Occupy movement. That's what it has over the Tea Party movement. It is. The reason the Tea Party movement fell apart until the IRS thing, and it's now kind of like struggling to get back to its feet. The reason that it had legs for a short time and then it kind of came out from underneath it is because the Tea Party movement was about anger. It was about frustration. It was about legitimate problems in Washington that needed to be fixed. But when party establishment saw what was happening on the Republican side, they began to throw in these ideological curveballs. And all of a sudden, guys who were elected to go to Congress and girls who were elected to go to Congress and to fix things in Washington became the biggest spenders of the freshman class in Congress. Did you know that? Did you know that the Tea Party freshmen who came into Congress were the biggest spenders in Congress? That's what happened to the justified anger of the Tea Party movement. Because even though they had justified anger, they did not have ideological consistency. Last night I had the chance to be on a radio show from here in town. It's a guy named Simon Conway. You guys know Simon? Oh, come on. So I was on his show, and I was really looking forward to it. I love to debate people. I told these guys, in my life, my loves are, I love God, I love my family, and I love to fight. And so I was like, let's do this. I really wanted to go and talk to him, and not because I'm a lovable guy, right? I'm friendly and I'm sweet and all that stuff. But I like to debate people. I like to challenge the way they think. I don't want to fight with you and call you names, but I want to challenge the way you think. And honestly, I want you to challenge the way I think. I want you to enlighten me, and I want to enlighten you. And so I went on this show, and Simon was a very gracious host. He was very nice and kept telling me that my name should be Mr. Liberty and all that stuff, which thank you. I take that. But one of the things that he said was, and I think this was supposed to be the moment that we got into a fight, he said, so the Constitution does not give us the right to kill someone like Anwar al-Awlaki. And the U.S. used a drone to kill him, but I don't care. And the phone broke up right as he said it. It was kind of odd. NSA must have done something. But the phone broke up for a second. And then I asked him, can you repeat that? And so he repeated it. And I was like, he said, so what do you think? And okay. Well, I think that you and a lot of people don't care. But the reason I care isn't because I have any love for Anwar al-Awlaki. I don't know the al-Awlaki family. I know nothing about them. He may have been a very bad person. See, the problem is that so many Americans, and this is what I told Simon, so many Americans will look at Anwar al-Awlaki and say he's a terrible person, he's a bad person, he's inspiring terrorism, and we have to stop him. No matter what, we have to stop him. And so we drone strike him. And then 2 weeks later, the U.S. government uses another drone and kills his 16-year-old son. But lies about it and says he's a 21-year-old son who was born in Yemen and is an al-Qaeda fighter. And then when a journalist actually looks into it must have been a foreign one, looks into it and says, no, in fact, his son wasn't 21, he was 16, and he wasn't an al-Qaeda fighter. In fact, he was just at a birthday party, and he was a U.S. citizen born in Denver, Colorado. Then the administration says, oh, it was an accident. We were actually going for someone else and he happened to be in the wrong place. Because that is somehow the acceptable response to so-called drone strike collateral damage. Oops is okay. Now the problem with that is that, and this is what I told Simon, I don't know al-Awlaki, but I would fight every day for the rights of his son because I have 3 sons. And as soon as someone changes the definition of what a bad person is, then their lives can be taken too. That's what ideological consistency is about. It's not about saying, well, we'll suspend the Constitution or we'll suspend due process rights because we don't like that guy or because that guy's scary or brown or overseas or has a weird religion that scares me. That doesn't give you the right to suspend his rights. And the fool, hear me when I say this, the fool who agrees to that line of thinking is saying, as soon as you consider me to be a threat or a bad person because I read a Bible, or because I believe in the Constitution, or because I have a 501c4 document that says liberty on it, that now I'm a bad person and I'm an enemy of the state. Where the liberty movement has an opportunity is to be the one political movement in America that is ideologically consistent, that doesn't shift just because the issue shifts or the policy shifts. I'd also say this to you, that handing over your own civil rights by grabbing someone else's is a fool's mistake. One of the big problems that the Republican Party and the pro-life movement has had in this country is that it's not a pro-life movement.